Hello, and welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. I always like doing a little pause between and movie and I always do a little kick to the head and movie channel.
I'm like a terrier.
Yeah, like a little terrier. I'm such a happy. Good evening, Shelley. Hello, Iron Bear. How are we?
I am doing well.
Very
Wonderful
good.
day here in Southern California.
Yeah. How's the weather in California? Is it rained yet? Like
it's
ever?
dreary, cloudy, a little bit on the cool side, and that's about it. No earthquakes in the last 24 hours here.
That's always nice. I tell you what, mate. I have. It's a good day for me in Britain when we don't have earthquakes. I think that's my because they never happen. But we haven't seen the sun in a while, so that's a problem.
Well, it's still there. I guarantee you, it's still there. I saw it.
It's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps throwing storms at us. Apparently, it's going to destroy all of our satellites. So
yeah.
Right. Let's hope not. So, as always, when we do our little live shows with me over here in the UK and I always do go the wrong way, and my resident American, old Stormy Bear.
Hello, hello.
What have you been watching in the last couple of weeks, Stormy?
The last couple of weeks, I made up a clever little list here, and just to keep track, I've caught up with Killing Eve, which is not exactly sci-fi, but it's like
I tell you, this series is more sci-fi than
right. You're right.
It's weird.
Killing Eve is kind of like Sean Connery era Cold War 007 mixed in with slapstick comedy.
Yeah, I think it's its best.
In a love story. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Got caught up with Picard this last week.
I'm not enjoying Picard.
You know what?
After an opening episode, which I creamed up, I went nuts over. I immediately did a video and told everybody how much I loved it.
It was good.
I've been a bit disappointed since.
Well, the last couple episodes, kind of focused on, Cristobal in the hands of ICE. Here in America, that's the Immigration Control Authority, and it was just so much like watching, here local news. Here again, I'm in Southern California, and there's just oh look, there's an ICE agent, dragging a family of Hispanics, behind them to throw them in a truck to take them someplace. It's like, is this the news?
It seemed a bit. I just thought they were. Are they just making the voyage home? Are they going to go rescue some whales in a minute?
Yeah, maybe so. You never know.
They'll save a goldfish. It'll be a goldfish or something like that saves the future. That's what they'll have to. They'll have to make some transparent aluminum. See what I did there? Just for you, that was.
That's right.
I said aluminum, even though it hurt me inside.
I saw the anguish across your face. Flash
clear aluminum, which is actually now a thing. Someone's invented it.
Yep. Standard on your Tesla Cybertruck.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually amazing. That is. I love Star Trek. I watched the Moon Knight. I watched the Moon Knight episode. Speaking
of goldfish.
Oh yeah. Yes. He grew back a fin. I didn't really get that bit. I love that. I thought that was really good. It's a bit slow. My kids watched it, even though it is a 16.
Yeah.
I was just hoping for no boobs, and there weren't any, so that's all. My kids understand violence. They're 13. They're young adults. They understand the violence and isn't real and everything. But I just get a bit awkward if there's anything like nudity or anything. Some 15s got to be really careful with. But yeah, I love the little references, little Avatar reference, and a few other things. And the actor who was in June, wasn't he as well? He's a brilliant actor. So I think that's got a lot of drama in that series. I think it's going to be good. I love the last. I love the final little scene when he becomes Moon Knight, and that monster thing goes in, and then you just hear bam, 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 and then you just see the monster trying to get out.
The monsters on the tile floor scratching to get away, and it was just I
thought that was a clever little scene. That was a nice little scene. All the times he fell asleep, and when he woke up, everyone was battered. That was good. Well, if you watch.
Well, one last thing about Picard is the thing last episode of Picard, you can't go wrong when you have 7 and 9 in an LA cop chase. You know, that was kind of cool. You know, a freeway chase. That was awesome. And I'm kind of sad that the Borg Queen got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
Because her calling
the Guinan. The Guinan problem.
Oh, there is the Guinan.
Before we go on to our this week's topic. It annoys me when they mess with canon. Why couldn't she have just recognized him? Why did they have to pretend like... I know the whole thing was then that it was his name that made her go, oh, you must meet the supervisor. You know, good evening, Peter. How are you, sir?
Hello, Peter.
We'll get onto the games very shortly. But yeah, I don't know why they just had to change canon. I'm not a big one. I'm not desperate that canon always has to be followed regardless. But don't change it for absolutely no reason. That's a bit irritating. You know, it's like they could have very easily stepped around that and they just chose not to. It's like they forgot. Annoying.
You know, especially when, you know, in Next Generation, when they met Guinan in 1800 San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, okay, yeah, it's more, you know, it's 100 years or whatever, or 200 years since you've met. No, about 150 years since you met them.
You'd remember.
You'd remember because, you know, she remembers and she talks a lot. And I mean, how could you forget, you know, meeting Data in Data's head while you're with Mark Twain prancing around, you know, the market.
Maybe she's just been drinking a lot.
Well, she was at a bar.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh well.
Is that something troubling? We should be. Maybe that's what she has. I mean, Next Generation at a bar, right?
Yeah. She now lives in a bar. Yeah. In the 90s, in 2024, she was in a bar. She was still in the same bar 200 years later.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Girl can't move on.
Yeah, that girl is an alcoholic, and that's the problem. That's why she's forgot Picard. We figured it out.
No, and I keep wondering if they're setting up to something, you know, for the Bell riots, you know, from DS9.
Yeah, it does feel along those lines, wouldn't it? And that would actually be pretty cool. I think it's the right year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only the events, I think, are 9 months apart.
Yeah, maybe. So I mean that's very possible, and definitely race. I know people have already started to shout that it's woke, but I think it's very relevant to the world right now, and that race.
Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, my alarm just went off.
You're late.
I can't hear you now. 1 second. Stormy's done it again. 1 second.
It's recurring.
Sorry about that. You're back?
I'm back, I think.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry about
that.
I've now got a horrible feeling that alarm's going to go off again in a second. Oh, well, never mind. It was an alarm to tell me to be ready for this. Right. So, Halo came out. Last week. Now, you've seen it.
I've seen it.
I haven't. Ooh. Because I'm an idiot and I can't be bothered to get a VPN, which would be very easy for me to do. We're not going to get Halo until Paramount Plus comes to the UK, which will be apparently in the next month.
Oh, so, well, yeah.
And I'm getting it because I've got Sky, and I've already I have Sky Movie Package, and it's going to be part of the Sky Movie Package. So if you're in the UK, that's how you're going to be able to watch Paramount Plus. You have seen it though, so did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. I played the video game. God knows how long ago. I think I played the video game back when Xbox 360 was the thing to have, and it was okay. It was okay for a game. I mean, the reason I got Halo was because I'm a big fan of Larry Niven's Ringworld series, the books, I should say, and it was okay. It's essentially, you know, it's a first-person shooter on a hamster wheel. That's what the game was. So. I saw, oh boy, they made a series. How horrible is this going to be? So, you know, just sat down and forced myself to watch it. And it was really good. There was like a story and everything, exposition.
A story?
Yes, exposition, characters you hated, characters you kind of liked, monsters. It was.
I want monsters.
I know. I really did enjoy it.
The only complaint I've had, somebody was yelling that he takes his helmet off a lot and he's not supposed to, and I'm like, pretty sure in the later games he did take his helmet off.
I think so. Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, I was thinking if that's really your biggest problem with the show, fine.
His helmet, yeah.
But that is a nice little segue into this week's topic.
Yes. Film disasters.
Paralyzed likes it. Not a giant Halo game fan, but the series has got him hooked so far. I am going to have to get a VPN.
The Paralyzed has great taste.
He or she does. I don't know if they're he or she.
Hey,
but yeah.
Excuse me, I was unwelcome.
They. So we're going to be talking about video games being turned into movies or TV series, whichever you like. I don't think there's many TV series. Halo is one of the first ones, really, isn't it? I can't think of any others. I'm sure there have been, but games that have been turned into movies or movies. I would like to mention movies turning into games at some point because I've got a gripe about when they turn games, games into movies. They sometimes do it well, but anyway, we'll get into that. But so movies that have been turned into games. First of all, which ones have you? No, should we start with hated?
Hated.
Should we go with hated?
A long conversation.
I'm gonna. Well, we'll have to pick on the focus ones. The Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, that
film hurt me.
Yeah,
it like physically hurt me. It was like somebody connected me to the mains via my testicles, and flicked the switch. It was an awful movie. But you know, I went on Wikipedia and I was reading about it. The person who jumped out to me, that I was like, oh my god, I can't believe she was in it. Ming Na Wen was in it.
Really?
She played Chun-Li. And she looks exactly the same.
The same? Yes. God, Jesus. That was my next question.
Yeah.
You know, it's I really tried watching it a long time ago, but I think I fell asleep on the couch or something because it was not riveting at all. It was like
it's a terrible movie. But you know, the one nice story about that film, which I do like, was Raul Julia, who obviously played Bison or M. Bison. He was actually really, really poorly when they made that film. He had cancer and he died not long after.
Sure.
And he didn't want to do the film, but they basically drove up to the back of his house with a dumper truck full of money and went, please, please, please do the film. And he only did it because he wanted, like, to be able to give his family, you know, one last decent pay packet sort of thing. And it's a sad story, or a sad little background to the movie sort of thing. But yeah, and Jean-Claude Van Damme was awful in it, and Kylie Minogue was in it. And other than that, there is nothing memorable about that film at all. It's just awful.
There's, I'm trying to think if there was. I'm looking at Raul Julia. How do you spell his
Raul? Like Julia. This guy played Gomez.
Right.
He was brilliant in those. Absolutely brilliant in those films.
There's another one I thought he did for a video game that's on my list. Mussolini, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Tempest. Apparently not.
Oh, okay. Well, Paralyzed has actually come out with a movie that's even worse.
Oh, goodness.
What's that?
Oh, goodness. Go ahead. Paramount came
okay.
was actually worse.
The Mario Brothers movie.
Well, see, that's the one I thought Raul Julia was in. That's on my list, too.
No, it's Bob Hoskins, Dennis Hopper,
Lance Henriksen, I think, was it.
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo, yeah.
Leguizamo. That's it, thank you. Julie Leguizamo. Who is actually brilliant actors in that. Dennis Hopper, brilliant actor. When he's doing it, he's one of those overacting things, you know, like, and he's done some god-awful films. But when he's on it, when he's doing a film, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, great actor, but again, he's done some movies because they've given him a massive pay packet, and I think this is one of them. But John Leguizamo he's a great actor. He's brilliant. He's properly intense, and these were awful movies. There's lots of rumors again about the Mario Brothers movie. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There
was
directors and everything, and I just have to quickly block some comments that are popping up. Thank you very much.
It was also Fiona Shaw was in that movie. She was in the Harry Potter film. She was also in one of the protagonists in Killing Eve.
Okay, yes. Yes, she was good in that, actually. She's got and she was in Two Men and a Little Lady. Two Men, yeah, I think that's right.
Yep.
Let me just get rid of this guy. Sorry. An error occurred while trying to refresh the page. There you go. That one needs to go. But anyway, right. So that's a couple of movies that have been really bad. Another film I hated, which I was really looking forward to, and they spent a lot of money on. It was only a few years ago. Warcraft.
Dude. Okay, Warcraft. That's the video. I was playing Warcraft right before we came on. Now I was really, man. I was hoping I had really good high hopes for this, and deep under my cynical heart, I just knew it was just going to be shit. And I think the director was David Bowie's son. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And
I don't know. Jason Momoa played one of the characters as well, didn't he? I think he was one of the CGI characters.
But it was bad. Well,
I'll help you out quickly. Sorry, Stormy, you're back.
Jesus.
I turned the alarm off this time. I knew I'd snoozed instead of turning it off.
Did I get dumped in the harbor again?
You did. It's because I'm so professional.
Oh,
to do the live shows, I have to use my phone because it's just much easier. But I did forget about that. Anyway, The Paralyzed. The Warcraft movie wasn't bad, but it needed more story. I think that it looked nice.
It did.
Well put together.
It did.
It was just
well acted.
Yeah, exactly. The CGI was great. All that sort of thing. I think Paralyzed has got it bang on there. There just wasn't enough there's no depth to it.
The thing they tried, I think, critically, I think they tried to do too much. I mean, Warcraft has had plethora of expansions, a bunch of foundational games, Orcs versus Humans when this all started out, and there was so much story there. I think they try to compress everything into one big gigantic origin story, and it just didn't work. They should have focused on one thing, but it was just too much to get. It was just too compressed, I think.
I thought it was a bit two-dimensional for me,
and
Mad Jam Jar, good name. It's got it there. The great action sequences, to be fair. So if you watch it as a popcorn movie, just eat popcorn, turn brain off.
Yep.
The fight scenes were great, but it was almost like they got, we can do these amazing fight scenes. Let's just focus on that. And I think we've talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes they've got CGI in a movie, and it's just like the film becomes about that, the technology, rather than the story. And the story's got to come first. Oh, he's back again. We're getting hacked. But anyway,
we must be popular.
I tell you what, my channel's doing so well now. I'm going to become a bit of a big-headed YouTuber. I'm going to be able to quit my job soon and live off this because the amount of bots put in bloody things, I'm thinking I must be huge.
Why can't I have?
There's 9 people watching right now.
I want bots.
Yeah, you can have mine, mate. I'll pass them over.
As long as they're watching my videos and liking them and commenting and.
Yes, please. And if you're watching the video right now and you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and obviously go over to SciWorks. That way. The link is in the description. You can go and subscribe to our Stormy, our resident American. And if you want to support the channel, also you can hit the join button. please feel
Yes.
free. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside when people.
He needs a warm, fuzzy feeling today.
I do. It's been
Yes.
a long day. I like my new T-shirt, a logo designed by one of my amazing subscribers. I've completely rebranded the channel in the last week, and I'm very happy with this. Sidetrack me.
Oh, it's a K. It looks like a Y. Are you sure that's not a Y? Sidetrack.
No, it's Trek. No? Shut up, Stormy. It looks great.
It does look good.
And I like purple, so that's all good. Shelley Hines has just become a new member. See, she's doing as she's told. Well done. Thank you, Shelley. I love you. Shelley runs our Facebook channel. You can actually go and join us on Facebook, and she does an amazing job. She really, really looks after us. Thank you so much, Shelley. I actually feel a bit bad taking money off you.
So we were bitching about Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, yeah.
It was filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, I was working in Wilmington film at the time. Did not work on the movie, but oh my God, it was a monkey circus. The set. You
mentioned that you actually were in and around it.
Yeah. I was mostly, all the stuff I learned in in Simi Valley that back in the day on special prop effects, and that's so I just started doing the same thing in Wilmington back in the day. And it was, the Super Mario Brothers, it was a shit show. He had lots of money, like you mentioned, Dennis Hopper, which was a resident of Wilmington, North Carolina at the time. He lived on Figure 8 Island, where all the movie stars lived. He had a really nice art gallery showing some of his own artwork. And that guy was multi-talented. He was really good.
Really?
Acting, graphic arts. Super Mario Brothers at the time was filmed on the world's largest green screen, which was at Carol Co Studios in.
Yeah, you could tell.
But that said, it just did not come together at all. It was a disaster. Production was a disaster.
I would actually it was from day one. They cooked that up. It's one of those films that they just messed up from the beginning. And to be honest, the first mistake was deciding to make it. They made it because it was the biggest video game in the world at the time, and they had to make it, but they shouldn't have done. It doesn't. Somebody who makes movies would have gone, well, we're making it this way. This is going to work, but they just did it anyway. Terrible movie, badly made, bad CGI. But is a movie then? Did you see the Doom movie? Now, Gamer Beans here didn't like that film. I did. I really liked it. But there is a scene in it that I hated.
Which one was it?
I actually talked about this in a video I did a couple of weeks ago. I've got a pet hate. When they make movies like this and then they try to do something from the genre, right? So I think I mentioned to you, when they did the Thunderbirds movie, right?
Yes.
It should have been the easiest film in the world to make. Our Jonathan Frakes should be kicked really hard in delicate places for cocking that film up because he directed it. There's a bit in it when the guy has a microchip in the back of his head and he sort of walks around like this, like he's a remote controlled. There's a little bit of a thing back to the movie. Didn't need to do it. Looked stupid. They did something similar in Doom when they have the bit Carl Urban is running around shooting all the monsters. So they do a bit where it's looking down the barrel of the gun.
Right.
And he's in thing, it looks like the game. It wasn't necessary. They shouldn't have done it, and it just stuck out like a sore thumb in the film. The film itself is actually quite good. The Rock's quite good in it. Like I say, Carl Urban's brilliant. I really like Carl Urban. He's one of those actors that I think's never quite made the A-list. He's always been in and around it. And I wish I think he deserves to get a bit more respect than he does. Because I think Carl Urban's one of those great actors. But I actually quite like the film, except for that bit.
Well, my critique about the film is the same as yours. Now, I think I watched it on DVD, the expanded edition, where the director or whatever, where it had like 15 more minutes of footage. And the 15 more minutes of footage was literally the Twitch-like first-person shooter scene. Only thing it was missing was the swearing of the Twitch streamer, And that's all the last of it was. I mean, it really did remind me of, or now it reminds me of what a Twitch stream is. Sans all the swearing and cursing, and
Yeah, it's just
you know,
stupid.
it was just. I do like the game though. I do like.
I loved the game. I have to admit, that was one of my favorite games. I'm just thinking that they should make. Well, I'll talk about games that they're going to be making into movies at the end. But Duke Nukem was a game I always loved, and I always think that should be a film.
Yeah,
But a comedy, like a bit of a ridiculous, like a bit of a thing. But yeah,
I would have loved seeing Robin Williams play Duke.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I could see that. That would have been cool.
I mean, with him just running off, just ad libbing everything. Robin Williams.
If you did a better job than he did in the Popeye movie, he was the only good thing in the Popeye movie.
Right.
A film that actually, we're talking about films that were pretty bad, but I actually quite liked. Did you see Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr.?
I did.
And what was the other fella in it?
Matthew
Lillard. Matthew Lillard was in it as well.
Yeah.
The guy from Scream.
The guy that played the Paladin. He's been in a bunch of science fiction things, like The Core, I think he was.
Okay, I'm not sure. That was a film that was, it was maybe a little bit too similar to the game. They maybe should have come away from the game. They should have been like inspired by the game, and I think they did it quite clear. But actually, I really like parts of it. I really like the CGI and a lot of the sci-fi. I liked how they launched torpedoes, and the torpedo would come out of the torpedo tube and sort of drop slightly, like it was like there was gravity in space. And then the rocket would ignite and it would go, but it looked cool. And I'm like, the science, you messed up there with the special effects a little bit, but like you forgot there's no gravity in space. But it looked cool. Isn't that weird that's the thing I remember? The film that I haven't seen for 20 years. But I always remember thinking it was really good. I was ashamed there was always trying to get a sequel, but it never quite got off the ground. Yeah. But Freddie Prinze Jr. again, he's one of those actors. I always like him in everything I see him. He did a series of 24. He was really good in that.
That's right. I forgot.
He did special appearances as I think it was Bones. He kept appearing on every so often as like an FBI agent, and he's one of those actors that I think again. I wish I'd seen him in more things. Really, I think he could have actually been a reasonably good action hero if he got the right movie. You need like that Bruce Willis type of part, or something. But he could have done something. I'd like to have seen him like instead of Brendan Fraser in The Mummy or something like that. I think he'd have worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Paralyzed. First rule of sci-fi movies will always be physics doesn't matter.
So the guy I'm thinking of that was in that I really liked. I'm trying to pronounce his name right. Is Shika Caro? TCHEKY KARYO.
Okay.
He's also in La Femme Nikita, The Patriot. He's mostly a French actor. There's a lot of French films.
Oh, I know what you mean.
But I really did like him in Wing Commander. He played the character. I guess his code name was Paladin. I don't recall his actual character name.
I don't know. So, what any games you then that were so bad you loved them? Any games?
So bad I loved them. Okay. I don't think this was a bad movie, and you're gonna get hate mail over this.
I love hate mail. It's fine.
Detective Pikachu was awesome.
Right.
Fucking.
I looked up the research for this. I googled top 10 movies turned from games, inspired by games, and number 1.
Yep.
Detective Pikachu.
Loved it.
But I did question the list a little bit in that Mario Brothers and Street Fighter both appeared on the same list as the top 10 best. I was like, the person that did this, and Warcraft appeared on it as well.
Oh yeah.
The person that wrote this list has been drinking. But yeah, Detective Pikachu is if I make Spencer from Aliens and stuff is watching this, he would be jumping up and down right now because he loves that movie.
Great movie.
And it's
Ryan Reynolds can make. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Detective.
I don't know which movie Cameron is talking about in that one. I don't know if it's Detective Pikachu or Wing Commander, but it is one of those films I probably wouldn't watch again. but I enjoyed thoroughly, and I hope they make a sequel. And I would
Yeah,
watch that thoroughly. I
Yes.
wanted to watch Detective Pikachu at the cinema because I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. I love Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
And my wife wouldn't let me. She wouldn't go with me. I should have just gone on my own. But I love that just because what they did was they direct. So we've got Detective Pikachu, and we've somehow managed to talk Ryan Reynolds into making it. Let's just let Ryan Reynolds run with it.
Yes,
and
please.
And then all they said basically, Ryan, try not to swear too much. Other than that, crack on, sort of thing. And it's it made a really, really good movie. It's a fun film. And yeah, Detective Pikachu. Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again either, camera. But they just I think they just kept it simple with that. Reasonably, they made a movie. They didn't overcomplicate the story too much. They had a nice little twist at the end, and they let Ryan Reynolds be Ryan Reynolds.
And it was awesome. I loved it. Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Now one from a video game to a movie that just, and they've tried several times, and let's hear it for trying multiple times to get something wrong. Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most successful attempts at this. Definitely going back a few years. But Mad Jam Jar, Ryan Reynolds is today's version of Adam Sandler. Yeah. I think he's funnier than Adam Sandler.
Was Adam Sandler ever funny? I'm just trying to.
No.
Sorry. Go ahead.
The first Angelina Jolie was actually, I thought, quite good. I loved how they padded her bra quite a lot to try and get her close to the game. And you notice how in the second film her boobs have shrunk significantly as she then got a bit of power and a bit of control and went, you know what, I'm not wearing 3-inch padded bra. But the it's also the film, I think, the first one that probably got Daniel Craig the James Bond gig, because I mean nobody really knew who Daniel Craig was, and there is a scene in that movie where he gets his top off, and everyone's realized he's quite muscular. I mean, he was then, he's an old man now, but it wasn't long after that he got the James Bond gig. So it's not quite a video game into a movie, but Battleship is hilarious. Beyond bad. It's a terrible movie.
I totally forgot. I guess I blanked out Battleship.
Well, it's a board game, so technically, gamer, you're not allowed that comment.
Well, I think Battleship was also on. I think it was on Game Boy.
Oh, okay. Then there you go. We'll bring it back.
Then. Game Boy cartridge.
I stand corrected. I apologize. It was stupid, and beyond stupid. It was like the person that wrote it had a brain injury, and I mean that with all the due respect to people who've suffered. Would think I work in that sort of area. People, but it was just stupid. They were like, "I've got to make a Battleship game." Yeah. Can I just be inspired by it and do something else? No, you have to be exactly like a Battlefield game. We have to make a board game somehow. And I go, are you effing kidding me? How do I make a board game? Aliens. Oh, that'll do.
Right.
It's just just bad. And it's bad when Rihanna is the best thing in a film. That's bad. Good evening, Ian. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, Ian. Why are you so late? What are you doing? Come on, man. You're half hour late. Get with it.
Well, what do you know? It's fine, because when we're done, go back and start watching the film from the beginning for me. For the series, thank you. That'd be good. Go back to Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, yes, if you insist.
I turned it off halfway through the third one.
Now, I did not see the last one with the new actress,
Alicia Vikander.
Was that any good?
Like I say, I turned it off halfway through. I got bored.
Oh, that was the one you turned off.
Yeah. They're getting a sequel. They're making another one. Oh, she's a good actress. She's a great actress. It's just completely unbelievable. The action scenes where this scrawny little girl is getting thrown around, and just there's a bit where she jumps from the ship at one point. She has to scramble to survive, sort of thing. And she jumps about 30 feet. And you're just watching her going, "This is a Transformers movie." We're just like, that's just ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
Speaking of jumping 30 feet, one that was just a movie that was atrocious, even worse than I think any kind of Transformer excuse me, any kind of Tomb Raider shiznot you were talking about, version number 3, Prince of Persia.
That was weird. I really like Jake Gyllenhaal, but there are certain
Yeah.
films he shouldn't do. He's not. He's the wrong sort of actor. I just saw Ambulance at the cinema with him in, and he's really good in it.
Is it good? Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty good in it. I don't like Michael Bay films, and it's directed like a Michael Bay film. I don't like him as a director particularly.
Yeah.
It's very jerky and jumps out like the trans. But it's actually pretty good. It works because you keep the tension going, sort of thing. But Jake Gyllenhaal in that film.
It was just like I think maybe that was it. He just didn't sell the role. I'm not trying to be some woke thing that he was the wrong race or whatever. He's kind of really not from that part of the world, and they try to make him up to be like that, like Elizabeth Taylor in
Cleopatra.
Cleopatra. That's right. Yeah. I almost said Moses for a while.
She played Cleopatra, didn't I can't remember if that was the name of the film or not, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. They gave him a good tan, didn't they? And they went, crack on, it'll be fine. No one will notice.
Yeah, no one will notice.
They basically blacked him up. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed anymore. But it wasn't. I wasn't a big fan of Prince of Persia. I didn't think it quite worked. Another film that I think they got wrong was actually quite a good film, but I think they got the casting wrong. Let me just check my list. Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
It's not a bad film. I was a bit confused by it in places because I never really played the game. So I'm assuming people that played the game understood all the time travel bits. But I just don't think Michael Fassbender was very good in it. I think he was the wrong actor.
I played the video game a little bit, and actually it was the one in the stage in colonial America. So it was, I don't know, man. It didn't seem to sync with what the video game was. It tried to be maybe something else or go beyond or something. Maybe it's Fassbender's acting. I didn't think the writing was all there. I don't know. It did not.
Didn't quite work. I don't know quite why. We'll come back to that in a second, though, because I want to finish up before we start talking about something else. The one of my favorite movies and series of movies from a game is Resident Evil. Mila Jovovich. I just thought she played such an amazing part in that. That links on to Monster Hunter, actually, which I did see recently. I actually really enjoyed. And again, Mila Jovovich was just fantastic in it. But the only thing with Monster Hunter was, I suppose, it was a bit over the top in places with some of the monsters. But that was the point. But the Resident Evil, particularly the first one, was just stunning. The other ones maybe suffered for not having a big enough budget, but the first one was. I mean,
she can always carry those films. It's like her part, and she, regardless of how many they make, and everyone I've seen, she's actually carrying the story quite well.
Yeah, she is a really good actress, and she's physically very imposing. I think so. She physically makes those films work. But yeah, Monster Hunter is pretty good. But the Resident Evil films, they are making a fifth one.
I think so.
Third, fourth, or fifth. So we'll see if that's supposed to be the first one. But yeah, I think everyone's going to agree that it was just a good film. It was just well made. It was really loyal to the story. It was a story. It was a game that actually worked as a film because the story worked as a film. I mean, I think the game was done in a very theatrical, thematic way, which helped. Which goes on to what I was just going to speak about before I talk about, again, what games are coming up. Is the problem why a lot of these games into movies doesn't work because they're sometimes too loyal to the original. It's sometimes like when we were talking before the stream started, when they turn books into movies, novels into movies. Sometimes there can be an argument to say that people moan that either they've changed it too much. The Harry Potters, people go on and on and on about how much you changed it too much.
Same thing with Lord of the Rings. Anything Tolkien.
But also, yeah, exactly. Or they really strictly stick to the book, and then everyone moans that didn't really work, and the end's a bit boring. I'm thinking like Angels and Demons with Tom Hanks and things like that, because they stuck to the book.
Yeah.
And then, but it pitters off towards the end of it, and it's like, oh, it's an anticlimactic end, and it's because it doesn't. A book doesn't necessarily translate. Like onto one-to-one sort of thing. You need to make changes to make it fit to the different genre, don't you? You know, is that the same with games sometimes?
I think so. I mean, games are just another form of storytelling if it's done right. Unless it's, I don't know, Snake on your Nokia phone. Maybe there's no story to be had there. But the ones that are really good,
they do it. If it was popular enough, they do it.
Snake 2 in color.
Snakes on a plane. They've done it. Damn.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. I know I think the problem with like going back to Warcraft was they tried to squeeze the whole game into less than a couple hours. A game, like the current version or the current release of Warcraft is Shadowlands. And to go through all of that, including the last patch, I mean, that takes more than a year to play through. A year to do it well and follow all the quests and follow all the stories, and so how are you ever going to get the entirety of Warcraft into under 2 hours? Not sure how. Books, I think, are easier maybe than video games because you do have a book to go through.
Yeah. There's a story. Sometimes there aren't even that many stories. There's not that much storage in some of these games. Because it's a game.
It's a game, right? Yeah. Checkers. How much story is an ad?
Again, technically a computer game, but we're being really technical with that.
Okay, so keep it to again, Snake that's a game, but there's no story. It's just pure entertainment. It's to help us with our attention span of a goldfish these days.
But I'm saying it does make sense that that it's difficult to transfer games, particularly when they try to be like. That's what we said about Mario Brothers, wasn't it? It didn't fit, but because it was so popular, they had to make it. They decided, no, we're making it anyway, and that's when it goes wrong. But then you get other films, like I don't know if you saw recently, The Werewolves Within was quite loosely based on a VR game, actually. But what they did was they took a game and they made a movie. They didn't make a movie about they didn't make a game movie. They just went, that's great, really great title. Mad Jam Jar, I think that's a good point as well. We'll talk about that in a sec. That
that's true.
But it made a film that was loosely based on the game. It's like the guy was playing the game and thought, this would make a great movie, and wrote a script rather than we've got a game and we have to make a movie. And we'll get this square peg and we'll jam it as hard as we can with that round hole until we get something comes out the other end. So sometimes,
I kind of agree with that because I think that sometimes in these video game movies, the filmmakers aren't fans of the game. And I think sometimes it really does show.
They're just hired to do a job, aren't they? Basically, it feels like. Yeah, definitely that with Mario Brothers. They just had to make a movie regardless. How the investment thing and the how much money some of these games have, some of these movies have. I do think that's a good point. And I do think in the past they had really small budgets or budgets that meant they couldn't quite, because obviously in a video game there's quite dramatic things happen. So it's quite big sci-fi, quite big special effects are needed, and they don't have the funds. I'm thinking the first Mortal Kombat. And definitely the second one, but that was awful. That was just a let's make a sequel film, Retaliation or something like that it was called. But that film really suffered because they basically gave Christopher Lambert all the money and didn't have any money left to make the film. So they just made a bad film. But is that because I mean, that also, you should say, the first Mortal Kombat movie was the most popular video game movie up until only like a couple of years ago, until the last Mortal Kombat came out. I think overtook it, and Uncharted overtook it. That was the film that made the most money. So a lot of these films failed.
Yeah,
they didn't get made. I'm thinking they made that Crazy Birds movie. Is that Crazy Birds? That's what it's called.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds. Thank you.
Angry
There was one, right? They
I think
made Angry Birds movie just because
Good.
Angry Birds was popular, so they made a film. It didn't work even remotely.
Did not.
And it didn't make any money. So is that a problem? Is that maybe why some of these films haven't worked?
I think some producers just see, hey, this is trending on Google. Let's make a movie. And I think that was how Angry Birds came about. I was just like, oh, here's something popular. Isn't it also a kid's show now? Also.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think they sort of turn it into a kid's show. Which again, they do that sometimes, don't they? When a movie doesn't do very well, they turn it into a kid's show. But yeah. All right. So recently, though, Uncharted did come out, and I did see that in the cinema.
Did you? Okay.
It's a game I've never played. The movie was the two main actors, whose name Tom Holland, who's basically you can do anything at the moment and it'll make money.
Right.
And the other fella whose name's gone out of my head. I've got a picture of him. Dang it. But anyway, one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and I can't Mark Wahlberg, thank you. So yeah. But to be honestly though, the film is quite forgettable. The plot is basic. It's they're hunting for gold and things, and they're just treasure hunters. It's kind of been done. But entertaining movie. I didn't want my money back when I left the cinema at the end of the day, which is always a good mark. I didn't go up to reception and demand my money back, which I did do once actually.
Right.
The film was so bad.
What movie was that you demanded your money back?
I can't remember what it was now, but it was actually Ryan Reynolds was in it. It was based on a fun fair or something, and Ryan Reynolds was in it, and Kristen Stewart, who does. Do you remember Friends when Joey was talking about who did acting class, and one of the things was he says if ever you there's a dramatic moment, you just smell the fart acting, and you just sort of go. And you pretend like you're smelling a fart and wondering where it's come from, and that's how you sell a dramatic moment. I think that's how Kristen Stewart acts. I think she actually saw that and went, I will do that. She's terrible in it. But this film, whatever the hell it was called, it was advertised like it was a screwball comedy. It was a very early for Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
But it's not. It's a teen drama. It's very dramatic and it's full of And I did demand my money back, and they didn't. Weirdly, they said no. But I wanted my money back. It was terrible. But Uncharted did really well, and it smashed records for this type of thing. We're going to be getting a lot of video game movies coming up in the next few years. Would you like to hear a list?
Go for it.
Tell me anything that jumps out. The Division, who our favourite actor, Jake Gyllenhaal, is signed up to do, which is a post-apocalyptic. There's a virus, and everyone dies.
Another virus movie. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's not been done though, so that's unique. I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. There's going to be a Minecraft movie. Now, if there's a game that they go, we've got to make it, and I don't care how, that's going to be that. There's going to be a Metal Gear Solid movie. Oh, I've lost him. The Americans died.
I'm still recovering from the fucking Minecraft. Oh my god.
It'll be awesome. Shut up. There'll be a dramatic. That's going to win an Oscar.
Can I slap somebody now, please?
And then the director will just bitch slap.
Hey, I have baldness. When do I get to beat the shit out of someone? I mean, it's just.
That's a very political statement, but it is. Actually, I would say Will Smith has appeared in loads and loads of sci-fi movies, so we could probably like to talk about this. I thought it was staged, and now it looks like no.
No. Well, I knew it wasn't staged when I heard the microphone hit.
Yeah.
You know, because I got a hold of like the unedited version that they didn't, the raw feed,
Mhm.
and you see Chris Rock's the shockwave go across his face, and you hear the thump on the microphone. I go, ooh,
Yeah.
that was an impact.
Yeah, he did catch him, but he slapped him like such a. Will Smith is a big fella. He really should have
Big
been able
fella.
to knock
Yes.
Chris Rock, skinny little fella, on his ass. And
If after the slap, also he had his arm in this arm here in a defensive posture because Will Smith's taken loads of martial arts classes for whatever movies he's been doing. He had his arm, kind of in a defensive posture after he just gave Chris Rock the Hollywood bit slap. I mean, it was.
Yeah. It was only when he then sat down and went, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," that I thought, "Oh, it's not staged."
Oh no! Said it twice.
Is a big childish girl. I mean, that's. Oh, I just thought it was bad. And then I was reading all about their relationship. And I'm like, they've got an open marriage and all this. I think
he didn't mind keeping someone else's private parts out of her mouth, just the name. So I guess in the Smith household, morality is on something like a Monopoly board.
Okay.
Who has to go next?
I would like to now apologize for
and I'm not saying that Jada Pinkett Smith is go on the
I think she looks
right now. Will Smith is in jail.
Yeah, she looks evil. I'm pretty sure if Jade Plinkett Smith told me, "Give me all your money," and then looked at me, I just would. She's just got evil eyes, man. I would just be like, "Whatever you want, love, just get out of my Jesus." But yeah. Anyway, the views of my resident American friend are his own, and they don't necessarily reflect the views of this channel.
No matter how much Jay is giggling about it.
Very true. But yeah, he's basically not going to be seeing any Will Smith in any films for a while anyway. Because they've all been cancelled. So.
Boy, everything he had like in pre-production. I looked up.
It's now.
Yeah, it's like, are we really paying you $40 million? Go in.
Yeah. Oh, Ian's just said exactly the same point. All been cancelled. I'll carry on with the list then anyway. So Metal Gear Solid. So we're going to see Snake. Oscar Isaac is going to be starring, and Derek Connolly, who wrote Jurassic World, is down to write. So that's going to happen. Splinter Cell, which is a very similar movie to Metal Gear Solid.
Splinter Cell, isn't that a Tom Clancy property?
Yes, exactly. So we'll see how
that
goes.
Maybe hope for that because all of the game studio that produced all that used to be in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and typically all of those video games in the past have had a lot of story behind them.
Yeah,
usually pressed by current events.
And a couple of his projects have already been turned into movies, haven't they? I think so. Yeah, we'll see how that works. That might work. Call of Duty is going to be made into a film.
Yeah.
Those, to be fair, always had quite a lot of story to them, but Mass Effect, which is a game I never played, that's going to be made into a movie. Gears of War is actually happening soon. That might be the next big one we see on our screens. Portal, which my kids play, and they tried to explain it to me, and I had to get them to explain it to me again. I have no freaking clue what that game's about. There's little robots in it and stuff, and there is a plot to it. I didn't understand it, but I'm old, so I'm not supposed to. And Sleeping Dogs. There is rumors of a Command and Conquer video game, which actually was my favorite game when I was a kid. I loved Command and Conquer Red Alert.
At least it has some history behind it, you know?
Yeah. I want to see. I can't remember the character's name now. The little psycho Russian with the two guns that used to run around. It was the one character you could build. She was one of the special things you could build, and she could run off and just go crazy. I want to see her. So that would be great. And is it the Link character? I've written Link down because I know the game, but I can't remember the damn name. I don't think that's the name of it. But that's going to be apparently made. That's going to be very Lord of the Ringsy style, I think. It's one of my kids' favorite games as well. And that is apparently also rumored to be in pre-production. So out of that incredibly long list, I can't believe Fortnite isn't on that list. It's one of the most, biggest games of the last 5 years, and they're not making a film on it. I don't know why, but apparently I couldn't find any rumors about that anyway. Call of Duty will make a microtransactions bill to continue watching the film every 15 minutes. That's quite good. I like that. Yeah. Zelda, thank you. Zelda games, Link. Zelda. They're going to be making a Zelda game. That is apparently very, very on the cards to be made very shortly. Thank you, everybody. So anything in that list that excites you? Anything in that list that makes you want to cry other than Minecraft?
The Command and Conquer, I think, has the highest hope.
I'd love to see that game.
You know,
I'd love to see it.
I kind of see it as like, an analogy of Master and Commander.
Yeah.
The book series that got turned into a movie.
Yeah. It's quite good.
Which I also kind of enjoyed.
I just want to see Tesla towers and Tesla tanks and all that.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But so we've mentioned all of these games has gone into a movie. So how do we reconcile the issue of Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One?
Because that's almost like the wrong way around, isn't it? That was like the other way around. It was
right.
It was every pop culture reference of the last 20 years in a film.
Especially the last battle. I mean, it was every kind of video game character you can imagine.
And I tell you what, I think it genuinely is the future as well. My son recently got an Oculus VR thing, £300. I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. There's a Rocky game, and I was playing the Rocky game, and this big guy came up and started swinging at me, and I genuinely went, "Oh!" and ducked. It was so realistic. It was like, I go, "Oh, that scared me a little bit." It's VR is stunning in it. VR games are the way to go, man. They're the future. And you can buy vests that have impacts and stuff, and I think they're so immersive. So yeah, I think they're the future. And Ready Player One is probably. I don't think that's the world. I don't think that's exactly like that. But video gaming is VR. I don't see. But I think entertainment will be VR. I could imagine watching a movie through VR and actually being able to turn my head and look at things will happen.
Well, it's like, a long time ago, video games surpassed Hollywood in terms of income, industry value, long time ago. And with the acquisition by Microsoft of Blizzard Entertainment, Warcraft, Candy Crush, all sorts of things, that puts Microsoft with a whole lot of content, and unfortunately, yes, they do own
Minecraft. But I think that's the future, and that's what we're gonna get. So.
Well, here's my nightmare. We're going to be not just in video games, but movies. We're going to be, in the next 5 years, we're going to be eat up with games like Ukrainian Sniper, Russian Raw Dogs.
Exactly. And now the Cold War's kicked off again. Yeah, we will be seeing that. I wonder how long it's going to be till we see a modern Cold War movie. It's going to be soon, isn't it? Saw Red Sparrow recently. That was good. I enjoyed that.
I did. Yeah, that was a good movie.
But I think I can imagine VR being. It'll be like the internet. It'll take off as soon as somebody figures out how to make it into porn. And then it'll take off. Then I reckon that's generally the internet survived because of porn, and that's a sad indictment of men.
If it's not already in porn, I'd be surprised.
It probably is, to be honest. I don't know.
Well, even with this in my browser, let's see, Oculus porn.
Yeah, they'll almost certainly will be.
Oculus porn videos are on Pornhub.
Oh, for the love of God. We suck as a gender. Seriously, we really suck.
Already on Pornhub. Just have your credit card.
What will genuinely end the world is when the first woman becomes telepathic and reads men's minds. They will kill us all. Jesus, we suck.
Yes. Pornhub.com. That's the first result, by the way.
I bet it was as well. Oh, man. We suck as a species. So what do you think about them? So we're going to wrap up now because my dinner's nearly ready.
Okay.
And it's 7 o'clock over here. I told my wife I'd be done by 7. I promised. Hand on heart. Hand on heart. And I've already failed. But what do you think is the future then of games? I think the history of games into movies has been generally not great.
Yeah.
With one or two good things. Like I generally think the first Tomb Raider was quite good. I generally think there's been a couple of other little things like Resident Evil is quite good, and what? Huh?
Detective Pikachu.
And Detective Pikachu, which is the movie we do not say. We'll start calling it the DP movie.
I wonder if that's on your Pornhub too.
If you could go and Google DP movies now, it comes up Detective Pikachu. Promise.
Let's see, DP movies.
Don't Google that. You'll have to burn your computer afterwards. But what do you think about the future then? I think they have suffered with not having enough budget, but that seems to be changing.
Everything. Yeah.
So what do you think the future holds for video games into movies?
Okay, hey, yes, Witcher was awesome. Lewis Hellman is right on top. But yeah, it's just good video games. I think the really immersive ones are storytelling. It's just another version of storytelling. And in the last 100 years, we have mixed and matched storytelling. No, regardless of the niche or the format. From radio, I mean, how many shows have went from radio dramas, to comic books, to movies? The Shadow comes to mind, And by the way, a plug for old time radio, OTR. Search on that. There are lots of really good dramas, good content from 1940s on radio. And a lot of those are still captured, and you can download it and listen to them. Sci-fi, westerns, mob movies. It's just so. I think in terms of storytelling, it's just how can we, with the new technology, how can we mix it all up? We had Lord of the Rings, the books, the movies. Yeah. Then there was a cartoon, then the movies. Now all sorts of video games, and same with Star Trek. That abysmal mobile app they've been advertising.
It's everywhere. I hate that game. It's not a game.
It's like Play to Win or something. I hate those game formats.
Just tap it, and coins come up and things, and you have to just wait for the next thing to load. It's not a freaking game. Stupid Starfleet.
The ads were compelling, but the game is not.
The ads are cool. The game is awful.
So I think we're going to have further mix and match of all types of stories. I mean, look at Marvel, comic books into some of the most successful movies of all time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to mix. I mean, it's not going to end. It's going to get more complex, and maybe the people that make these movies will start to get a sense on what is going to be a good film and what's not. Yeah, also, what's going to be a great movie versus what's going to make a great series. Warcraft would have been a great series, as opposed to a movie.
And that's the thing, isn't it? With streaming services now, basically making mini series rather than movies. I mean, that feels to me like it's the way particularly sci-fi is going to go. I think they're going to move away from making films as much, and they'll make 10-episode series instead with the budgets of a movie. Because we love binge watching them. To talk about Stargate was talking, and they were going. Amazon initially were pushing MGM. They said, "Well, let's make a movie," and MGM has basically talked them out of it and gone, "You know what? Actually, a series will work." And it looks like MGM have won the argument that they're going to make a series instead, and it'll have the same impact as a movie would. It's like because they can make and it also shows how many big time movie stars are appearing in TV series at the moment on streaming networks, because there's not that stigma anymore. It used to be you were a movie star or you're a TV star and never the twain shall meet. Nowadays you can do both. And maybe that'll be a way for some of these projects to be made in better ways, because they'll do a series instead. I think we're talking about what was the film I said I enjoyed?
Detective Pikachu.
Yes, that one. Wing Commander, I think, would have made a better TV series than that thing. But yeah, that's true, man. That's just true. One last thing before we go then. before the wife comes and knocks the door and tells me that I've burnt the dinner. Games that have been made from movies. So they make a movie, it does well,
Right.
and they make a game. Why do they do that? Some of them are so bad and so thrown together. I was thinking like the Matrix game they made,
Right.
and was terrible. I can't think of many that were any good.
I mean, there for a while, Walking Dead, a TV series, they had almost like a new mobile game every season. And some were good and some were bad. I mean, it's just some were, kind of quest-like. I think one was a MMO, maybe, is a mobile MMO. No, but yeah, it's just, if you're making films, you want to get the story licensing out to everybody. You do the book, you do whatever. There's also, you license out the content for a comic book, social comic book, and the novelization. And I think video games is just another part of that. Cash grab, exactly.
It's just another way of advertising the game. Almost, they're just like interactive adverts. Some of them, I remember, but then sometimes they do a great job. But sometimes what they do is they'll do a video game either to try to come out about the same time as the game, and then they're rubbish because they rush them, or just after. But then sometimes when a film is like really popular, they'll do a game a few years later, or even a decade later. The first Ghostbusters computer game, when they actually got Dan Aykroyd and everyone to do the voices for it as well, was brilliant. It was, Ghostbusters had been like 10 years before. It was like having a new movie almost. It was like Ghostbusters 3. It was fantastic. They don't do that enough, though, because just like everything else in Hollywood, they've got no patience.
Yeah, everything's riding on the initial advertising campaign for the movie. So if you also do the book, the video game, the mobile game, the trading cards, or whatever else, then it's all riding on the same ad campaign. In some of these movies, the ad campaign's $100 million.
Yeah,
for the movie.
Sometimes they spend almost as much on the ad campaign as they do the movie.
Yeah.
So it's just another way of doing it. Yeah, sad, really sad. But no, sometimes they get it right, and I think that's the same with them making the moves out of games. Sometimes they get it right. Let's hope they get it right a bit more often in the future.
And I think getting it right goes back to, does the filmmakers like the game? I think one reason why Lord of the Rings wasn't so successful is Peter Jackson actually liked Tolkien, and he knew what to put in, what to leave out, and there was great controversy over Tom Bombadil. Where the hell is Tom Bombadil? Well, there was a reason for that. The movie was already 3 hours long. The next was going to be another 3 hours. And, even though he was a fan, he saw it really wasn't part of the thread of getting to Mordor. But it would have been nice if he filmed all that, just put it on DVD, and that would have been awesome. But
yeah, well, he filmed a lot more that he did put on the extra long DVDs, and wasn't the director's cut like 4.5 hours long?
Oh God, it was awesome. Oh,
yeah, it was good. But yeah, I mean, I think that's true, and I think it's true for everything. We talk about reboots and remakes and all sequels and all these sorts of things, and Star Trek reboots and everything else, and Stargate and everything else. It's got to be made by somebody that loves what they're doing. If it's made by somebody that loves the project, it's a lot more likely to be there. I always think it's the same as when I do these videos. I don't do videos to what I think people will like. I do videos that I like, and then hopefully people will like them. And I think that's the only way to do it.
It is, yeah.
Movie makers sometimes will do projects just because they have to. Mario Brothers, and they, instead of making something they actually desperately want to make. And I think that's the moral of the story, and that's what
I think it is. Yeah. Well, there's some of these directors, they get into these three contract deals. And then somebody throws, oh yeah, you got to go make Warcraft. Well, it's part of your contract.
Yeah. So I've got no choice. I've got to make it. Yeah. Right. That is where we will leave it for this evening, guys. Thank you so much for everybody that's joined us. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video wherever the hell you like, and go and join this little man over here on his channel. There's a link in the description. Again,
you may learn something.
Yeah, you may not though as well.
You may not.
I didn't. I didn't learn it. No, I did actually. I learned about hydrogen in your channel. So yeah, and you've got some lovely mysteries and things as well. Good night, everybody. I'm so glad you've joined us. Stormy, as always, thank you so much. Alan, you're very, very late. Go back and watch it from the beginning. It's been another brilliant conversation, and thank you very much, Stormy, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
See you in a couple of weeks. Next week, I am doing another live video with our Matt, who actually runs our Discord server. I think I put a link for the description in that as well, so you can go join us on Discord. And we're going to be talking. Yeah, we are going to be talking Stargate. So we're going to talk about, with the new Stargate series, hopefully around the corner, what do we want to see? So hopefully I'll join. You'll come and join us for that as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Toodles.
Wait a second. I've got an outro. Wait.
Oh, there's an outro. Wait. We got